He let go in exactly 4 seconds. Not because he chose to. Because his fingers stopped responding. His hand opened on its own, the way a fuse blows when the current exceeds what the wiring can handle. His brain said hold. His hand said no. The man attached to that hand was Victor Karelian. 6 feet 5 inches tall. 350 pounds. Former competitive powerlifter turned private security for one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood. He could deadlift 600 pounds. His grip had been measured at a private sports clinic in Santa Monica at 285 pounds of force per hand. He had worked nightclub doors in Las Vegas for 4 years before Hollywood, physically removing drunk celebrities and aggressive fans using nothing but those hands. And in 4 seconds those hands failed him completely. But let's rewind. Burbank, California. Warner Brothers Television Studios. Stage 14 Corridor. October 8, 1970. Thursday evening, 6:45 p.m. The corridor is long, narrow, and smells like fresh paint and electrical tape. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting that flat institutional glow that makes everyone look slightly ill. Concrete block walls painted beige. Thick cable bundles along the baseboards. Fire exit signs glowing red at each end. Polished concrete floor scuffed from decades of dolly wheels. This is the backstage artery of Stage 14. Tonight a major studio executive, Richard Harmon, is conducting private meetings in a production office at the far end. Harmon controls casting for 3 network shows. He is the kind of man who does not return phone calls because he does not have to. Standing outside the production office door is Victor Karelian. His job is simple. Nobody enters without authorization. At 350 pounds, wearing a black suit straining at every seam, with hands the size of dinner plates and a neck thicker than most men's thighs, Victor does not need to speak to communicate. He wears mirrored aviator sunglasses indoors. Not because the lights bother him. Because the sunglasses remove his humanity. You cannot reason with a reflection of your own face staring back at you. Victor has been doing this for 11 years. Nobody has ever gotten past him. Bruce Lee arrives at 6:47 p.m. He is 30 years old. 5'7", 140 pounds. Dark slacks, navy button-down shirt, carrying a leather folder containing his proposal for a television series. He has a 7 p.m. meeting with Harmon, arranged 3 weeks ago, confirmed twice. He reaches the production office door. Victor blocks it. His body fills the doorframe the way a boulder fills a riverbed. I have a 7 o'clock meeting with Mr. Harmon. Bruce's voice is polite. Victor does not look at Bruce. He looks past him. The way you look past furniture. Names not on the list. Bruce Lee. My agent confirmed Monday. Not on the list. Nobody goes in. Bruce didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. Could you check with Mr. Harmon? I believe there may be an error. Victor's jaw tightens. People told no in this corridor react predictably. They argue. They name drop. They threaten. This small man is being reasonable, and reasonableness from someone already dismissed is more irritating than shouting. I said you're not on the list? Turn around. Walk back the way you came. This hallway is not your problem to solve. 2 production assistants at the far end stop what they are doing. A sound technician pauses mid-step. 7 people watching. Nobody intervenes. Nobody ever intervenes with Victor. Bruce remains still. I understand your position. But I've traveled here for this meeting. I would appreciate if you could check. 30 seconds. Victor finally looks down. Something shifts in his posture. A decision. A line crossed. He has decided this small man needs a more direct message. Victor's right hand comes up and grabs Bruce Lee's left shoulder. Not a push. A grab. All 5 fingers digging into muscle and bone with force that has made grown men buckle instantly. His grip is a statement of physical dominance. It says, I can control you and there is nothing you can do about it. The leather folder drops from Bruce's hand. Victor's grip has compressed the nerve cluster in Bruce's shoulder, sending an involuntary signal down his arm. The folder hits concrete with a flat slap echoing down the corridor. Everyone watching freezes. 7 people holding their breath. Away from the cameras, Bruce made a choice no one expected. He did not pull away. Did not resist. Did not shout. He looked at Victor's hand on his shoulder the way a surgeon looks at an X-ray. Clinical. Precise. Reading the position of the thumb. The angle of the wrist. The locked elbow. The turned shoulder that committed Victor's weight forward. 4 seconds. Second 1. Bruce's right hand rises. Not fast. Smooth and controlled, the way a conductor lifts a baton. His index and middle fingers press into a point on the inside of Victor's wrist, between the 2 tendons of the flexor carpi radialis. The pressure targets a nerve bundle most people do not know exists. Victor feels a sudden electric sensation shoot from wrist to fingertips. Not pain. Something worse. Absence. His fingers begin losing grip not because he is releasing but because the signal from brain to hand is being interrupted at the source. Second 2. Victor tries to compensate. His arm tenses. Every muscle from shoulder to fingertip fires, trying to maintain the grip his nervous system is abandoning. But Bruce's left hand is already moving. It rises and applies pressure to the radial nerve at Victor's elbow, a point martial artists call the gate because when it opens everything downstream stops working. Victor's forearm goes slack. Not numb. Disobedient. Second 3. Bruce steps offline. A quarter turn to Victor's outside angle. 6 inches of movement that changes the geometry completely. Victor's committed weight, 350 pounds leaning into a grip that no longer functions, has nowhere to go. He is not falling. But he is no longer stable. Second 4. Bruce removes his fingers from both pressure points simultaneously. Victor's hand opens completely. All 5 fingers extend involuntarily, the way a fist opens when you strike your funny bone. The grip measured at 285 pounds of force is gone. Neutralized not by violence but by precise pressure on 2 points no larger than a fingertip. Subscribe and leave a comment, because the most important part of this story is still unfolding. Victor stumbles half a step forward, catches himself on the doorframe. His right arm hangs at his side, tingling and disobedient. He stares at his own hand. The hand that has controlled every situation for 11 years. It failed him in 4 seconds. Bruce bends down, picks up his leather folder, brushes it off. Straightens his shirt where Victor's grip wrinkled the fabric. Then looks up at Victor. Victor's mirrored sunglasses have shifted during his stumble. They sit crooked, one lens higher than the other. For the first time, one of Victor's eyes is visible. Dark brown. Wide. Not angry. Confused. Bruce does something no one expects. He reaches up and gently straightens Victor's sunglasses, pushing them back into position. The gesture is quiet. Almost kind. The gesture of someone who holds no anger toward the man who just grabbed him. Victor stands motionless. He was not defeated with aggression. He was corrected with precision. Then treated with dignity. Your grip is very strong. Bruce's tone is unchanged. But grip strength follows neural pathways, and pathways can be interrupted. 350 pounds doesn't lose to 140 pounds. But 350 pounds does lose to precise knowledge of where the signals travel. Victor flexes his right hand. Feeling returning. Fingers close and open. Everything works. But the memory of those 4 seconds will never fade. What did you do? Bruce holds up his right hand. 2 fingers. 2 points. Your wrist and your elbow. The body has hundreds of these junctions. Every grip depends on signals traveling through narrow channels. If you know where those channels are, you can interrupt them. Temporarily. Harmlessly. But completely. The production office door opens. A young assistant appears. Mr. Lee? Mr. Harmon is ready. Sorry about the confusion. Bruce turns back to Victor. Thank you for doing your job. You were protecting that door. I respect that. He walks through the doorway. The door closes. But what followed would stay with everyone who witnessed it, forever. Victor remained at his post the rest of the evening. He flexed his right hand every few minutes. But something had cracked. Not the hand. The certainty. The belief that size determines outcome. When Bruce emerged 90 minutes later, the corridor was nearly empty. Nearly. Victor was still there. But he had removed his sunglasses. They hung folded from his breast pocket. His eyes visible. Human. Mr. Lee? Victor's voice stopped Bruce mid-step. How long did it take you to learn that? The technique takes 5 minutes. The precision takes 15 years. Anyone can memorize the points. Mastery is knowing when not to use them. Victor reached into his pocket and looked at the mirrored sunglasses. For 11 years they had been his mask. His wall. He put them back in his pocket. Did not put them on. Could I learn what you did? Not to hurt people. To understand. Bruce produced a small white card from his leather folder. His school address in Chinatown. He handed it to Victor, who took it with the right hand. The hand that had grabbed and dominated for a decade. Now holding a small piece of paper representing something it had never held. Tuesday and Thursday evenings. But understand, you won't learn to overpower people more efficiently. You'll learn why you don't need to. Share and subscribe. Some stories deserve to be remembered. Bruce walked toward the corridor's end. At the fire exit he paused. Victor, your grip really is exceptional. Train it with knowledge instead of just force, and you'll be something no one has ever seen. The door opened. Closed. Bruce was gone. Victor showed up at the June Fan Gung Fu Institute on a Tuesday evening 3 weeks later. No black suit. No mirrored sunglasses. Just a 350-pound man in the doorway of a small Chinatown studio, holding a white business card soft and creased from 21 days in his pocket. Bruce saw him. Nodded. No surprise. As if he had been expecting him. Over the following months Victor's security work changed. He stopped grabbing people. Started reading situations. When control was unavoidable he applied it differently. Less force. Greater precision. People he restrained walked away uninjured. People he turned away left without humiliation. Absorb what is useful. Reject what is useless. Add what is specifically your own. After Bruce Lee's death in July 1973, Victor kept the business card. Framed it. When young professionals asked why his methods were different, why he never seemed to need force despite being the largest man in every room, Victor would point to the framed card and tell them about an October evening in a studio corridor. About a grab that lasted 4 seconds. He always ended it the same way. I spent 11 years believing strength was the force my hands could generate. Bruce Lee showed me in 4 seconds that strength is knowing where to place your fingers. He pressed 2 points, and my whole understanding of power collapsed. Then he straightened my sunglasses. That's the part one never forget. After he made my hand useless, he fixed my glasses. Because it was never about defeating me. It was about showing me something I couldn't see. And I couldn't see it because I was wearing mirrored lenses. Looking at my own reflection instead of at the world. I took those sunglasses off that night. Never wore them again. October 8, 1970. Burbank. Warner Brothers. Stage 14 corridor. 7 witnesses. 350 pounds versus 140 pounds. 2 fingers. 2 pressure points. 4 seconds. And a pair of mirrored sunglasses that never went back on. The leather folder Bruce carried held his proposal for a show called The Warrior. Harmon listened politely. Hollywood was not ready for an Asian lead. The concept was eventually produced without Bruce, starred someone else. He never received credit. But the show was never the point. The point was the corridor. A man grabbed by someone who outweighed him by 210 pounds, who responded not with force but with precision, who proved that doors do not open because you push harder. Doors open because you understand the lock. 4 seconds of contact. A lifetime of change. That is not fighting. That is teaching. And the lesson was never about the technique. It was about what happens after. When the grip releases. When the sunglasses come off. When the hand that grabbed learns to reach instead. That is the legacy. Not the speed. Not the power. Not the myth. The quiet, devastating certainty that real strength never needs to raise its voice. Somewhere in a storage facility in Burbank, the Stage 14 corridor security log from October 8, 1970 still exists. 7 names signed in. 7 witnesses who watched a 350-pound man learn the most important lesson of his career in less time than it takes to exhale. No cameras recorded it. No newspaper covered it. The only evidence is a framed business card on a wall in a retired bodyguard's apartment in West Hollywood, and the testimony of a man who spent 50 years telling anyone who would listen that the smallest person he ever encountered taught him the largest truth he ever learned. Real power is not the ability to hold on. Real power is knowing when to let go.